The memory cut once more, becoming chaotic and blurry. It seemed there was a jolting ox cart, an unfamiliar house, and the chirping voices of those two kids, sometimes near, sometimes far. And then, a startlingly clear image, accompanied by an extremely strong scent, suddenly exploded in my head. The two kids were in front of me, the older brother was hunched over with his butt in the air, and the younger sister was squatting on the ground. Both of their faces were red from straining, and the air was filled with a pungent, indescribable smell. Right next to them, there was also a tiny figure, looking bewildered yet seemingly following along, naturally. A sharp, uncontrollable scream burst out of my throat. I desperately clutched my head as if I wanted to throw that dark piece of memory out of my mind. My face was so hot you could fry an egg on it. The shame made me want to die and be reborn. All I wished for was a hole right in front of me to crawl into to escape the humiliation, and ideally, that hole should be as big as 3 living rooms so I could bury myself alive. No. That wasn't me. It wasn't me. I stomped my foot, stuttering denials, my voice trembling as if I were about to cry. Xiao Yang and Xiao Lu were startled by my sudden scream. The two of them huddled together, their round eyes wide with panic and suspicion, timidly calling out, "Xiao Yu, what's wrong, sister?" Xiao Lu pursed her lips, looking close to tears. I was furious, glaring at both children, snapping at them to hide my overwhelming shame, my voice defensive as if avoiding something. "What are you staring at? We're not acquainted." That harsh remark clearly frightened the two little ones. Xiao Yang pressed his lips together, his eyes red-rimmed, but he still tried to sniffle and gather courage. He gingerly stepped closer, reaching out to tug at my sleeve, but then hesitated, whispering, "Xiao Yu, don't be mad. Later when Grandpa buys candy, my share is all yours." Xiao Lu also took a shy step closer, gently grasping the hem of my pants, her voice tiny and soft as dough. "Xiao Yu, don't be mad, Lulu is a good girl." Then the little girl hesitated. My share is also for Xiao Yu, even though she loved sweets the most. Seeing the two children who had just been yelled at, still trembling but trying to comfort me, the angry shame in my heart felt like a punctured ball. Pfft! A sound of air escaped me, the remnants of a laugh mixed with an awkward half-crying chuckle. I took a deep breath, softened my voice, containing a mix of exasperation and correction. "Kids, the candy is for you to eat." "Mom doesn't eat candy." I almost slipped up. "Xiao Yu." Xiao Yang tilted his head, frowned, his dark eyes shining with an unusual seriousness for a child, asking me like a little old man, "Are you really okay, sister? Why are you calling yourself Mom all the time now? We used to call each other brothers and sisters or siblings." He imitated my tone, repeating the phrase with extreme confusion. Xiao Lu also tilted her head, looking at me, her eyes full of curiosity. I opened my mouth to speak, but for a moment, I didn't know how to explain this earth-shattering change to the two little kids. 5 years of fragmented memories, the boundary between forgetting and recovery, being called brother/sister despite being their mother. All of this was too complicated for 2 3-year-olds. Finally, I just mumbled something, then turned around and headed toward the water jar from my memory, just wanting to see what I looked like now. "Hey Xiao Yu, where are you going?" The two little tails immediately scampered after me. "Getting water." I didn't turn my head, giving a short answer, then walked toward the earthenware jar that reached my waist. The water in the jar was still quite clear, reflecting the harsh, dazzling noonday sun. I leaned down and looked in. The water surface rippled, the light shattered, and a gentle face slowly emerged amidst the waves. My hair was a burnt yellow, messy like a bird's nest. My face still had streaks of dirt, whether from dust or soot I didn't know. Only my wide eyes, staring in horror, were clearly visible. I was wearing a coarse, dirty cloth shirt whose original color was unrecognizable. The sleeves and chest were oily and puffy, and it was stained with bits of grass and chicken feathers. "Is this me?" I felt like I was struck by a magic point standing frozen before the water jar. A huge wave of emotions mixed with shock, shame, and despair hit me squarely on the head, making my face go dark, my limbs tremble, and I nearly fell on the spot. My thick skin felt like it was being turned inside out, and a wave of nausea rose to my throat. I raised my trembling hand, cautiously touching my own dirt-streaked cheek. The rough, sticky feeling made me feel like I'd been electrocuted, and I immediately snatched my hand back. A sharp, desperate cry escaped me, brief but full of pain. Xiao Yu. The two kids were startled by my yell, anxiously clinging to the mouth of the jar, standing on their tiptoes to peer inside. What's in there? What's in there? A person named Xiao Yu, who looked like she'd just been pulled out of a mud pit. The horrific shame and the immediate urgent desire to bathe inside and out completely overwhelmed me. I spun around abruptly, nearly stumbling as I ran toward the kitchen from my memory, my voice high-pitched from urgency. Boil water. I want to bathe. Right now. Both of you do the same. Boil water. Bathe too. Xiao Yang and Xiao Lu followed me into the kitchen just as confused. Hearing me, Xiao Yang gaped, his small face full of astonishment. Xiao Yu, you really want to bathe? His voice sounded like he had just heard news of an earthquake. Then, as if remembering a glorious memory, he shook his head with an air of a grown-up, letting out a sigh like an old man. Sigh, the last time Grandpa made you bathe you rolled around and cried so loud the whole village heard, refusing to touch the water for dear life, and you even tore up your clothes. Xiao Yu, you are truly... He paused as if trying to find words strong enough to describe it, then concluded very seriously, so very dirty. Xiao Lu whispered softly, Xiao Yu is dirty. Lu is dirty too. Must bathe to be white. I was frantically shoving firewood into the stove when I heard that, and I froze, my cheeks twitching a few times uncontrollably. These dark histories. Before one was done, another came as if endlessly. I gritted my teeth angrily, forcefully shoving a large handful of dry straw into the fire, growling, Shut up. Later. Both of you must take off all those filthy clothes for me. We're bathing together. My voice carried an undeniable command. Huh. Xiao Yang flinched, then immediately stuck out his neck in protest. I won't. Bathing is for girls. I'm a boy, I don't bathe. Xiao Lu blinked her eyes, timidly whispering, Lulu wants to bathe to be nice and fragrant.